Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon at the local Innovators Global Change Youth Talk session. I'm Harry Federspiel. I'm Managing Director of Programs at SeedStars, which is a private sector organization headquartered in Geneva. We're a global entrepreneurship support organization and operate programs and VC funds in emerging markets. To date, we have run around 130 programs and supported around 5,500 companies, and we've also invested in 150 startups in emerging markets. We are funded by private sector foundations, by multilateral organizations, and partner with UN entities. It's a privilege for me to host this session today, where we spotlight youth voices in climate change and climate innovation. We will hear from innovative leaders who are leveraging technology and creativity to build solutions and address some of the world's most pressing climate challenges. The session is part of the broader youth climate innovation initiatives of CTCN. The goal of the initiatives is to equip young people with the right tools, with mentorship and coaching, and also the right networks necessary to tackle climate issues in their communities. Since 2020, the Youth Climate Innovation programs that we have launched together with CTCN had 430 participants from 72 countries. And we have also seen the creation of 30 climate-focused ventures. These initiatives address diverse areas, including sustainable agriculture, waste management, and renewable energy solutions. In a recent survey that we did among alumni, some inspiring outcomes were shown. Several teams have secured funding, expanded their networks, and are also actively now scaling their solutions. However, the survey also brought forward valuable feedback. Many of the innovators identified a need for ongoing mentorship, for the right financing and funding, and also for more local entrepreneurship ecosystem support. These insights are guiding us now on the next journey of developing the next program. We're currently in the final stages of the screening phase, and we have received around 3,000 applications for the upcoming programs. We're focusing on 5 key transformation areas. Under them is sustainable mobility, where we explore alternative fuels, shared or non-motorized mobility. We focus on business and industries, where we focus on carbon management and recycling, and also environmental data analytics. Then energy systems, where we focus on covering renewables, smart grids, and energy efficiency. We're also in the water, energy, food nexus, where we look for companies and startups promoting sustainable agriculture, alternative foods, and agroforestry. And also in the buildings and infrastructure space, where we address climate resilience, urban planning, green building, and infrastructure. To foster more impactful and sustainable solutions, we're also expanding the program to a 12-week incubator phase and then an accelerator track. We want to offer deeper support and mentorship, financing, and also partnerships. We aim to make the programs more accessible, more impactful, and also catalyze ideas, but then make the companies more successful and sustainable in the long run. Before we start now with the youth talks, we're honored to welcome Ruth Sukmando-Kuto, Deputy Director of the Climate Change Division at UNEP, to the stage to give her opening remarks. Maybe Ruth, are you in the room? Yeah, perfect.
Thank you very much, Henry, and it's a pleasure and an honor for me to be here with you. I see the Fred Honorary. It's great to have the chair of the Climate Technology Center. So first of all, I would like to talk to you young leaders. So dear young leaders, partners, friends, it gives me really great pleasure to be here with you today. We're gathered at a very important moment, one that acknowledges that the role of young people play in driving climate solutions and building a sustainable future. We are fighting together for you because it's you, our children, our grandchildren that will face the impacts of climate change. With over 60% of the global population under the age of 30, young people are not only among the most important and the most impacted by climate change, but they are also the ones that hold the power to shape meaningful, lasting change through innovation and action. Across the world, youth are leading the way, pushing for bold technologies that can actually transform industries and create real solutions for a sustainable and resilient future. The recent released UNEP Emissions Gap Report, we launched it today, reinforced the urgency of this mission, warning us that without immediate action, global temperatures could rise as much as 3.1 degrees. And this by the end of the century. It's still technically possible to keep the global temperatures maybe within 1.5, very difficult, maybe below 2.0, more probable, but these demands cutting emissions by 42% by 2030 and 57% by 2035. That's a humongous task. It's very important, but we can do it, and you, the young, you have to push for that. It's very important. Youth involvement is critical to meet these targets, as they are uniquely positioned to drive innovation, advocate for stronger policies, and help advance transformative technologies like solar, wind, etc. Their leadership, your leadership, is essential in bridging the emissions gap and safeguarding the planet's future. Since 2020, as Henry was actually talking about, UNEP, together with the Climate Technology Center Network, have been working tirelessly to support young people with the tools, the networks, and the mentorship that we heard, so they can turn innovative ideas into actually reality and solutions. Through our youth climate innovation labs and academias, as we have heard, we have helped young innovators from Africa to Asia Pacific and beyond to develop solutions tailored to the local climate challenges. We continue to work closely with the youth-led groups like what we call YUNGU, which is the youth group of the UNFCCC, and the UN Youth Advisory Group to foster collaboration, knowledge exchange, and hands-on action. Today, I'm also excited to share, as we have heard from Henry as well, that we launched the second cohort of the Youth Climate Innovation Program. And as we heard as well, we received 3,000 applications. That's a lot. It doesn't seem to be so much, but 3,000 requests with innovative ideas is a lot. So I think that our outreach and the importance of the topic and how the youth are responding to this is testament of how this issue is so central to their lives. This is a redesigned program because we took the lessons learned of the first cohort, and we are building now a program that really responds better to the needs of entrepreneurs and integrate much better the innovation ecosystem with a deeper understanding on how we can do this better. And this provides an enhanced mentorship, strong network of financial and technical partners that can really help to scale up young-led projects from ideas to impactful solutions. I know that we're going to have discussions today, and I urge you to really engage active throughout this dialogue, and that we can work together and expand youth-driven climate innovation and create a sustainable future for generations to come. CTCN remains very committed to this agenda, and we're very glad to work together and to be in this event. So thank you very much, and please really engage actively in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, for this inspiring opening remarks. We wanted to initially do a session with Lubomila, co-founder and CEO of Plan A, but I'm not sure if she was able to dial in yet. So I need to, yes, okay, perfect. So she's the co-founder and CEO of Plan A and was recognized as an Obama leader for Europe in 2022. An MIT Innovator under 35. She's a pioneering voice in climate tech, so please welcome her, and let's see if the connection works.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Apologies, as per usual, even after many years now of having to deal with hybrid conferences, not always the process is straightforward. It's really a pleasure to be here. Great honor, and also I would say quite of an emotional moment to be speaking, given the importance of the event at which we are gathered. Maybe I'll give a short snapshot of the 8 years that I've been working on this topic. I found Plan A in 2017, and the vision was always really simple. Use my technical and business skills to build a software that is able to support businesses to transition, go through the decarbonization that they needed to, and support our economy, our ecosystem, and our nature to work together. It's been 8 years that have been definitely not straightforward, incredibly emotional because of the ups and downs, also the approaches that we've taken in terms of discussing even climate change politically, but also even on a business level changing. It has made it significantly more difficult than anticipated to believe that a simple idea, that technology that supposedly is unbiased, that can support businesses to transition should be straightforward. So today I will use the privilege to be able to speak to you to share a few of the key lessons that have been gathered over the years, and also maybe shed some light on the importance of the local approach to solving large-scale global problems. I remember sitting in 2017 in Morocco, and that was essentially the kickoff of my work on Plan A, and on a beach that is incredibly famous for its surfing opportunities and beauty of nature. I actually was on day one of my surfing trip just gathering plastic, and at that time I had no context of the impact of the human actions on our economy. I had no context on how tourism, how taking care of nature could really impact also the longevity of the comfort with which we live as a humanity. And after this serendipitous maybe trip, someone that has always had a business hat on, I just decided to drop everything and to dive into the science of climate change. Since 2017, we've had more than 400% increase in climate risk-related costs. Only a few weeks ago, in the United States, there was one disaster that by itself, Hurricane Milton, costed 40 billion. In the last years before that, we've had disasters that have been usually less than $1 billion. Now we're past that stage. Every single natural disaster that comes our way is actually coming at this cost. And while we're gathered at an event organized by the United Nations that has been one of the biggest proponents of scientific knowledge, explaining the importance of data, of science, of depth of analysis to make decisions, we clearly haven't gotten the memo. We clearly haven't understood that it is not a matter of years, it's not a matter of decades, it is a matter of days. And in the context of COP, it is, in my view, the 2 weeks that hopefully give us the chance to stand up, to look down into the science and gather as a community and be a little bit more practical. Today, I'm joining you from Berlin. I unfortunately couldn't travel, but I did actually spend quite some time on informing myself about Azerbaijan, about Baku. I also was last year there at the Baku stand and was really impressed with the way the story about nature was being told. As someone that has been trained to be a business person, one of the key lessons that I've gathered since 2017, since I've been diving into this data about natural disasters, is that we often forget that there's a deep correlation between every single choice we make as business people, as policymakers, as individuals, that has residue effects on our economy, on our society. And I think for all the cynicism that maybe people that don't understand the importance of these events bring, I truly believe that the perspectives that are gathered around the table today here can give a good overview of how an economy is going to not be able to survive, and how businesses will fail significantly to essentially continue growing revenues without taking into consideration the planet. Today we're talking about innovation. My journey has been one that I started in banking, moved into financial technology, and then now into climate data science. In practice, what we do with Plan A is we work with companies of the likes of BMW, Chloe fashion companies, even institutions like the European Commission, our clients. We assess their environmental performance, and then we give them an economic value, a return on investment assessment on why they should work on sustainability. It is not a matter of not maybe fixating only on the ESG reporting side, but it's really on being practical about the innovation that needs to be turned local and how it can scale the transformation of a business. Through all of these examples, more than 1,500 businesses that we worked with, what I have learned has been that it has, and I will actually add to that, recently someone from my team actually calculated, last year, I believe I spoke at more than 250 conferences. And why I'm saying this is not because it maybe matters as a number, but the tirelessness with which we speak about this topic and we go and kind of repeat the same messages just because of the importance of an event like this one, where a stakeholder from an economic perspective should be able to align to a stakeholder that is from a policy-making organization, should be able to align to a business maker at the cost of knowing what is at stake for our economy that has imminently repercussions also for humanity. Through all of these examples of learnings and kind of opportunities to see the transformation of businesses, what we've seen is that you can speak about a brand that is known for representing maybe the German economy or the economy of Azerbaijan or the economy of another country, but it's all about understanding the complexity of the value chain, the building blocks of it, and finally understanding that every single one of those elements is actually in the small village where the production starts, even for the big company that maybe is with the big logo sitting somewhere at the end of the value chain. It is within the local response to a particular problem solving and existence even of a natural resource and how you take care of that. With all of these learnings, what we've seen is that an international conglomerate is equally as responsible for the success or the failure of the natural ecosystem as much at home as also in the locality of where they're producing, where they're selling, and also where they engage the local community. And it is simply good business to take care of knowing the data, to take care of understanding how to respond so that you're a responsible citizen as a business, and also a responsible partner to nature so that nature can replenish itself. I want to give you one final example, kind of bringing us to this innovative perspective. In 2018, when I was starting Plan A, what we noticed was that while we, in a privileged position, were building a company from Berlin, a place which is with a good startup ecosystem, with a good support of the government, also good support from the local also institutions, organizations, we were constantly stumbling upon a consistent set of issues for the scaling of our business. There was no access to funding because we were specifically focused on green technology, and that was not cool. It was not something that was famous, and there was not too many institutional investors that would support this. We also noticed that there was a lot of expertise, maybe in marketing and in sales, but no one knew how to do sales for sustainability or marketing for sustainability. So in 2018, we decided to become locally global with the knowledge that we had gathered, and we built something that is called the Green Tech Alliance. It's a community that works with extensive amount, more than 3,500 innovators from all across the globe, Africa, Asia, North America, We even have startups in corners of the world that usually are not even considered as hubs for sustainability. And what we offer for all of them is free access to visibility, capital, and expertise. We built this because we thought that if we as a company that was kicking off at a time when the Paris Agreement was being signed, there was a lot of momentum, but we were still seeing all these obstacles for those that were not necessarily there, visible and active, it was probably going to be even more difficult. Today, Plan A serves thousands of businesses. The Green Tech Alliance supports 3,500 young, local, but with global mindset organizations with innovation. And the learnings have been so heavy lifting, connected, and have been also related to the fact that the most important bit is gathered in 3 points. First, businesses carry the biggest responsibility in responding to the climate crisis. This is because they're fast, they're innovative, they have capital, and they're all across the globe. They're not local and maybe specific to one government. The second bit is that collaboration is the key. I deeply hope that from all the gathering that I have been part of from the UN, I know how special it is to be there, and I'm really sad that I'm not, but I know that just the sparkle that one can get from a conversation with those that are working on a topic, even if it's from policy to political side to the business side, is what drives the change. It's not going to happen if it's only businesses. It's not going to happen if it's only governments that are driving this agenda. And finally, the key element to responding and scaling innovation and scaling decarbonization of the economy and also regeneration of also our lands is deeply embedded into following science. We need to follow science across the board, across businesses, across any kind of decision making, because this is our only chance to be factually driven and scalable in the approach that we take that is, because of the essence of science, incredibly local with the potential to scale to be global. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lubomila, for dialing in from Berlin. We're now having and jumping into our next session where we have 3 inspiring youth innovators in the room. First, we will hear from one successful participant of the last Climate Innovation Labs, Omer, who is co-founder and CEO of Biotreasure, who is using small-scale waste-to-energy systems to bring clean energy solutions to his community in Yemen. Next, Anissa will share her journey with the Little Earth, a youth environmental organization helping rural communities in mountain regions transition to sustainable energy solutions. And finally, Keith, who is the strategic partnership manager at Solar Cookers International, who is working on projects including for CTCN that promote solar energy and sustainable wood resource management with a focus on engaging the youth. In the second half of this event, so after these talks, I will have a bunch of questions to each of you. And then we will also do some interactive sessions towards the end, where we want you all to write down some of your ideas. So let's please welcome Omer to the stage to give your 5 minutes keynote.
Thank you, Harry. As Harry introduced me, I am Omar Badukhon, co-founder and CEO of Biotreasure. Biotreasure is a startup from Yemen working to convert producing small-scale biogas plants that convert organic waste to clean cooking energy and high-quality fertilizers. So right now, more than 10 million in Yemen do not have access to clean cooking energy. Most of them are rural farmers. Those rural farmers facing another problem, which is the increase of high prices of fertilizers. We in Biotreasure brought a solution that can help those two both problems: the access to clean cooking, also the increase of prices of fertilizer. So what we provide a platform in a small scale, home scale, or small farm scale that can convert organic waste from their farmers, their kitchens, into high quality fertilizers and clean cooking energy. every home-scale system of ours can produce up to 3 hours of clean cooking energy per day, also up to 4.5 tons of organic fertilizer per year. And this is solution for those both two problems. Our system is innovative, patent pending system, also won many international recognition and awards. Actually, we started our project 5 years ago as a research, but our real start was 2 years ago with the Climate Innovation Lab, MENA region with the CTCN and SeedStars. That was the ignition and the real start to convert our idea into real business plan and ignite our solution to be on ground. So when we was accepted to the first call of the Youth for Climate Innovation Labs among 80 startups from the Middle East region, it was a great opportunity for us to have knowledge and mentorship that make our plans in the right track. Because actually I am coming from Yemen, and maybe many Yemenis are joining us. We are coming from a difficult ecosystem for business. We didn't have incubators, we didn't have accelerators, even we didn't have ecosystem that's supported by government, because we are actually in a conflict-affected country. So that program was the real start for us to put us in the track. Just 1 year after the program, we raised the funding and we won many international awards and started producing our early products, and now we are growing up. So this program was the real start for our startup. 2 years later, we won many grants. We accepted in many accelerators, including Circular Economy, also COP28 Tech Startups, Unleash, and won the Youth for Climate Award last year, and featured by Forbes 30 Under 30 in the Middle East. So after 2 years and of stars, we have now more than 100,000 from direct sales, also 200 early users for our product, and it's actually multiplied by 10 by this year. Now we have actually in pipeline more than 100 units will be installed in the next year. So actually, being a climate tech entrepreneur is a little bit hard if you are from an unstable country or conflict-affected country. But in support of sub-programs like SeedStars and CTCN, we can bring the ideas to life and also start successful startups and incubators. Actually, we have a vision within the next 5 years to provide more than 250,000 of Yemenis rural farmers with clean cooking gas, and also save 1 million trees and 1 million tons of woods, because most of people there are cutting wood to use it as a firewood for cooking. So this is what we are working, and we hope some of you inspired by our work, and we see a successful startups in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anissa, maybe you can go next. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Anissa. It's a big pleasure of mine to be here among the panelists. I'm from Tajikistan, representing the youth environmental organization Little Earth. Just shortly about the context that we are living in, Tajikistan is a mountainous country that poses many opportunities and many challenges to the local people. And Little Earth actually was one of the first environmental NGO established since Tajikistan women's independence, who help their local communities to adapt to the changing climate through the different green technologies, putting in a center the engagement of youth, women, and indigenous minorities. So now I would like to dig a deep dive into our strategies, actually on how we engage the youth on different levels, from the grassroots to the national, to trying building the bridges between the rural and urban youth. And let's start from our project on engagement of youth in climate innovation on a grassroots level. We work with indigenous Yagnobi people, specifically with the women, where we empower them not only through the green technologies, but also by the knowledge. So our approaches include the soft and hard methods, including raising awareness about the importance of environmental issues and importance of sustainable resource management, shifting to providing them the new opportunities, like providing them the solar cookers, different green technologies to improve their well-being. And then our stunning women actually realized that they do not need to go and gather the energy resources anymore. They have more spare time, and therefore we continue empowering them by organizing different study tours downtown to actually illustrate how they can improve their well-being and which kind of economic activities they can do instead of the hardship of the household that they used to face. It's very challenging to work with the communities. They are actually face many constraints in terms of the cultural and traditional, but actually it's empowering to see when they realize the opportunities that green technologies provide to them. We put in a center the participatory approach. You can see here, together with our women in the middle, we are building the solar fruit dryers. And here our happy woman actually using the solar cooker boiling the water. Next approach is youth engagement more on a high level in terms of policy making. So this year, for the first time ever, we received the endorsement from the Yango UNFCCC constituency and organized local conference of youth. And the outcome of the local conference of youth is the first ever national youth statement, where youth was able to actually illustrate their climate demands and their vision and their role in a climate action. We closely collaborated with the Ministry of Energy and Water Resources, with the Committee of Environmental Protection, and the statement was actually handed over to the Committee of Environmental Protection for the further action. It's actually gathered 220 young people from all over Tajikistan, putting in the center indigenous youth and youth from the affected mountainous remote regions. And the last one, our new recently established project with the support of BMZ through the German Agro-Action. We actually, while working with the youth, we realized that urban youth and rural youth actually requiring completely different approaches in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their vision, because often we ask rural youth like which kind of challenges they are facing, and they're actually describing you the consequences of climate change without even knowing them that it's actually the climate change. And we realize that there is a gap in terms of their knowledge, in terms of the opportunities that they have, and therefore our recently launched project, Mobilizing Rural and Urban Youth for Climate Actions, actually aims to fulfill this gap by joining them. And therefore, as a pilot project, we decided to cover youth groups from 1 city, 2 towns, and 3 villages, where we plan to carry out a number of seminars, establish community action groups that actually will closely work with the local governmental authorities, so they can actually provide their recommendation notes on their role and their vision in climate action and climate change, provide them with the 6 mini grants so they can actually launch their own small-scale green project to continue empowering their community and empowering the youth to act for the climate. And in the end, we plan to launch actually a huge forum where we want them to exchange the ideas, the experience that they had throughout implementing their initiatives, which challenges they faced, and how they actually see their role in climate action. I'm very limited in time, so therefore I will stop here. But here is the QR code that you can scan and find out more about our activities, and I also will be happy to answer any questions you may have. So thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you, Anissa. Very good. Now we'll welcome Keith.
Thank you. Thank you, Harry. Thank you to the CTCN for inviting me here to talk a little bit about the work that we do. As Harry mentioned, my name is Keith Wingard. I'm the Strategic Partnerships Manager with Solar Cookers International. It's great to hear all three of us have some connection to clean cooking. It's a topic that sometimes gets overlooked and does have a significant climate contribution. Many people don't realize, but there are still over 2 billion people around the world that rely on polluting fuels and technologies for cooking their meals, primarily wood, charcoal, and other biomass, right? So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about solar cooking in the Central African Republic. As I mentioned, cooking is an urgent global problem. 2.1 billion people is the estimate from the WHO that still rely on polluting fuels and technologies to cook their meals, right? So this is primarily biomass, and the climate contribution shouldn't be overlooked either. The estimates, according to the Clean Cooking Alliance, are that approximately 1 gigaton of carbon dioxide equivalent is produced every year from cooking activities, which roughly equates to about 2% of global emissions. This is roughly the equivalent of the aviation sector, for a little bit of a comparison. This particular challenge is particularly acute in regions of the world that have an abundance of sunshine, right? So this is a map that shows us where, in the lighter colors, where there are significant portions of the population that still rely on polluting fuels and technologies. Africa, South Asia, Southeast Asia are regions where this is a challenge that's most acute. Meanwhile, these are also regions of the world that have the most freely available sunlight. So these next couple slides are a map. This is Central African Republic, where we'll be working thanks to the support of the European Commission and the Climate Technology Center Network. This map is from 2000. This is a sort of a baseline map from the Global Forest Watch. And this is the outline of the country of the Central African Republic, a country that still relies on 99% of the population relies on biomass for cooking. The second slide in the red is the places where there has been forest loss. So it's not only being driven by clean cooking or the need for cooking fuel, right? There's other reasons for deforestation and forest degradation as well. But in a place where 99% of the population is cooking with wood and charcoal, this is part of the cause of this deforestation. So what does that look like in numbers? In 1990, 37.2% of the Central African Republic's land was covered with forests. And by 2020, that number had dropped to 35.8%. Although that's only 1.4% overall, you can see there's clearly a downward trend line. So there's something that needs to be done to address this. There are also significant health implications of cooking over polluting fuels, or cooking with polluting fuels, like this woman here. There are respiratory issues from breathing in smoke every day, including chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder and lung cancer, ischemic heart disease, a stroke, and eye problems, right, from the smoke going in your eyes every day. Pregnant women also are more likely to have negative birth outcomes as well, due to the health implications of cooking with polluting fuels and technologies. Meanwhile, like I mentioned, there's an abundance of freely available sunlight in a place like the Central African Republic. Clean cooking has been designated as a national priority by the government of the Central African Republic, and they've actually even included explicit mention of solar cookers in their nationally determined contributions. This is really wonderful to see from our perspective because it gives us an opportunity to work together to address this challenge. Their language in the NDC explicitly aims for 5% of households equipped with solar cookers in 2025. That's just next year. Might be a challenge to reach that one, but we're also looking ahead to 2030, and 10% of households equipped with solar cookers. That seems like something, if we get some momentum now, we might be able to help achieve that particular target. So for this project, we're working with the United Nations Climate Technology Center and Network, the CTCN, and the European Commission, funding support from the European Commission. We're also working locally with the ministry in charge of the environment and sustainable development of the Central African Republic, and with the local university, the Carnot Energy Laboratory, which is part of the University of Bangui. This is where that youth component will come in. And Solar Cookers International is a CTCN network member, so we're an implementing partner for this particular program. The role of youth is critical. Just a couple months ago in September 2024, we worked with our partners at the University of Bangui to select 20 university students from a variety of disciplines, and they were trained as enumerators. They'll also be critically involved in what we refer to as a youth committee as well going forward to guide the program, and they'll be involved in community engagement, training, and an awareness campaign to make sure that the solar cookers that are being provided to the community are being well understood and are being used by those community members. And as we mentioned, this is a youth-focused event. I'm not sure if I technically still qualify as a youth representative or not. I'm starting to get a little older these days, but I did want to bring in that youth perspective. So these are two of those enumerators that were just trained a couple months ago, and these are some of the quotes that they're telling us in our coordination and collaboration. Jacob Ngaiganam, apologies for the pronunciation, but is a physics student who says his family and himself still suffer because of indoor cooking. The smoke gets into their eyes and causes vision issues, and it affects their breathing. Similarly, or on the other side, right, if we're looking at the challenge, what's the solution? Lois Nguelem, a physics and chemistry student at the University of Bangui, says, this technology, solar cooking, is truly excellent because it helps us protect our environment and shields us from diseases. For us at Solar Cookers International, we want to help be a collaborator in how to improve access to clean cooking. We hear a lot about this term, the just energy transition. And part of that is on a big scale, looking at how we can get the right energy for our national matrix, right? We want to move towards solar and wind energy. But part of that is also on the individual household level. So for us at Solar Cookers International, we think part of that just energy transition means moving away from relying on biomass for cooking technologies and towards something like a solar box oven or other solar cooking technologies to help move forward in a clean energy, renewable energy future. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to the panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Keith. Exciting how you build climate change solutions with advocacy, technology, and innovation. I now have one question for each of you, and I would kindly ask you to be very to the point with your answers, because we're a bit short in time. Omer, the first question is to you. I want you to talk a bit about the technical challenges you've faced in developing the technology, and also how you adapted your solution in the course of the program.
Thank you, Harry. Actually, to build a climate tech startup that relies in hardware, such biogas, also technology that the community not familiar with such technology. In Yemen, biogas is not widely used. Exactly, when we search about the biogas technology history in Yemen, it's less than 100 small-scale biogas plants built in this country in the last 20 years. So one of the most challenging problems that faced us that how to make biogas technology more similar, efficient, and easy to deal with by the rural people of Yemen. They are not well-educated people. How to make them use this technology with the perfect way. So we actually found a history that the biogas technology, traditional one, is not successful. So we have to change this concept, and we have to design and redesign this technology and introduce new design. In such country, the supply chain and the conflict actually affected the supply chain. And one of the most challenges faced us is how to bring the raw materials, also making partnership with the suppliers, also research and development partnerships. So it was taking a lot of time, almost 2 years to develop the prototype. But at the end, we succeed and make it easier.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing it. Anissa, you work in rural communities, mountain communities. So can you discuss or share a bit more about the policy challenges that you face operating these environments, and particularly also what initiatives you started?
Well, yes, indeed. So basically, in the political environment that we are functioning, there is like no specific support coming from the government in terms of supporting the youth initiatives or like a special strategy in terms of engaging the youth into policy making, and therefore, as a civil society, we kind of see our role in order to establishing these linkages in terms of working with our rural communities, because we work with the off-grid communities, it's very hard to scale up our project because the government currently is not supporting the off-grid systems at all. They really want to keep it centralized. This is one political challenge that we are facing, but we are kind of continuing supporting them with the technologies that do not need to be connected to the central grid. And another principle that we follow, we try to engage them as much as we can with the local authorities, because, for instance, our women throughout their life had never known who are the local authorities, and that actually there is someone exists who can they reach out and address the issues that they have. So these are some of the examples how we try to overcome the challenges. And maybe just another one, that overall working in such an environment requires the permissions. So we're constantly receiving like a specific authorization from the government in order to actually work in these areas, because you cannot just come to the people and say, hey, we're Little Earth and we are working here. You need to receive like specific permissions. But so far we have them, government is granting them. Although we're not really supported, but not that many obstacles exist to continue our work.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So moving from the challenges in rural communities, Keith, to you, and tell us a bit more about how did you accelerate the adoption of solar cookers, especially how could youth help you in this process?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think that's still an open question. We're still trying to figure out how to accelerate. And for example, the CTCN program and the CAR, we're still at the initial stages. But we think the idea has the potential to really take off. And there's 4 things that I think are really critical. And if any of them are missing, then it makes it really challenging. So the first is awareness. Number 1, people have to be aware that there's that clean cooking can be such a critical health problem and environmental problem, but also aware that there is a solution. There's another way to go about cooking your meals, right? So awareness is the first one. The second one is availability. The solutions have to be available, right? If there's no alternative, then you're going to continue cooking with whatever cooking technology you have available to you in your particular community. So we need to, like what we're doing with the CTCN, develop that local manufacturing capacity so that those solar cooking devices can be manufactured in the country where people are needing that solution. And then the next one is affordability, right? If you can't afford to purchase that cooking device or that alternative new technology, then there's no way you're also going to use it. So finding ways to make the technology affordable, and so we're starting to think about ways to get around the barrier, the upfront cost barrier. The great thing about solar cooking is once you have a solar cooker, there's no ongoing use cost, right? You have freely available sunlight, and that means your fuel cost is 0, but you need to actually get the cooking device to those community members to start using it. So we're looking at ways to maybe include village savings and loans or microfinance to access the technology so that then you can use it and pay it back over time. And then the final one is acceptance. It needs to be a technology that meets the cooking needs of that community, right? So if we're trying to introduce a cooking technology that isn't going to cook the foods that are most often consumed in that community, then it's also not going to take off. So we need all four of those, and really there's a youth component for across those four particular issues, and that means the youth are, like I was mentioning, at the University of Bangui, we have youth involved in data collection, we have youth involved in awareness campaigns, we have youth involved in research as well. So kind of across those aspects, youth are really going to be the champions that embrace this new technology and can be early adopters and encourage others in the community to really blast off and have that acceleration that we're hoping for.
Thank you so much. We're now having time for 1 or 2 questions from the audience. So if anyone has a question to our innovators in the room, please speak up. Yes, over here maybe? Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for this session. It was very interesting. Thank you very much. I have a question to Anissa. Have you implemented this experience in other countries of Central Asian countries? It is very interesting for us because we on the south of Kazakhstan also have mountains. Yeah, and it is also very important for us. Thank you.
I will be short and concise. We overall only have mandate to operate in Tajikistan on a national level, but recently, actually, IOM Kazakhstan reached out to us with the request to hire us as a consultant for to replicate our experience. Let's see how it goes. We are definitely very, very happy and welcome to share the experience that we have collected throughout the years. So we are definitely very happy to share with the whole Central Asia if there is a demand for it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, over here.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your great presentation. It was quite insightful for me. I'm Wei Ming from Fair Initiative. We are an NGO focused on sustainable agriculture. My question would be, like after you have an amazing idea or like a great idea of what you want to do, what is the first step? Like, is it gonna be like build a team, or is it gonna be like looking for the government support, or is it policy, or that's quite important for us because a lot of my peers, we all have like great ideas, or just we don't know what's the first step. So knowing this would be like really, really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Actually, very interesting question and very critical question for initiators. I think from my experience, it's not very long experience, but the first thing you have to do, I think you have to build your business model canvas in a short description, and try to go to the field with the idea, not to wait until you can finalize it to be a perfect one. You have to start. First thing and the best thing, you have to start, then you will have the chances with any other support resources. When you start, you can build your, for example, social media, and you can search for networking for innovation enablers, and there are a lot of them. So CGCN and Youth for Climate, and etc. And I am actually ready to help in connecting you or another youth and the innovation and Youth for Climate Action innovators. So the first thing is to start whatever your ability. Thank you.
Thank you. So we only have a few minutes left, but I want to still give the chance to Mr. Christopher Algreen from the Citizen Advisory Board and Policy Officer at the European Commission to say closing remarks. And while we're doing that, please also hand out some of the post-it or sticky notes in the room, because we want to gather your ideas before you leave the room. And two things we want you to think about. So on one of the sticky notes, I want you to write down how could you support and engage in the Youth Climate Innovation Program. So what could you offer to the program? How could you support the program? Could you be a mentor, a coach? Would you want to be an advisor for some of the companies? And the second post-it, we want you to write down what initiatives are you aware of or have you started to promote youth climate tech innovation? So maybe there's room for partnership for this program to other programs, and we build some of the bridges. Please write that down on your two post-its. And we would also like you to write down your email address and name if you want to be contacted and help and support in the program. Thank you so much. And now stage is yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So indeed, my name is Christopher Algren. I work for the European Commission in the Directorate General for Climate Action, and I'm also a representative of the CTCN Advisory Board. And similar to Keith, I was very pleasantly surprised to be invited to a youth event. I think just simply by that, I've postponed my midlife crisis until 2030. So let's not postpone climate action as well until 2030. And really want to thank all of you for attending today's event, and a particular thanks to our inspiring youth climate innovators for sharing their experiences. It's really been a privilege to witness the energy, the passion and creativity that you've brought and that you are bringing to the fight against climate change. So today we have really seen firsthand the examples and impacts of the CTCN's Youth Climate Innovation Program through Seed Stars, Plan A, working with businesses, BioTreasure for waste to energy, Solar Cooking International and their work in the Central African Republic, and the Little Earth in Tajikistan. And a good example, exactly as Keith mentioned, with the Solar Cookers International work in the Central African Republic. So this is a part of a wider program that we have in the European Commission. So we are working on climate technologies in conflict-sensitive countries. So it's a project that is focusing on 10 different countries in Sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean. And this work in the Central African Republic is one of these 10 technical assistance projects that are being delivered through the CTCN. So the discussions that we've had today, but also what you're writing on your notes right now, it's not just ideas, but it's also concrete projects and actions that we can take to really implement climate action that changes communities, ecosystems, and the lives of the people that we work with. And as we have heard also through Ruth in her intervention at the beginning of today's event, that more than 3,000 young innovators are from all around the world applied to this second cohort of the program, which is really demonstrating the wide interest and the eagerness of young people to engage on climate action. And as we have discussed, youth, women, and marginalized groups are among the most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, but they're also some of the most determined to drive this change and take action. And the Youth Climate Innovation Program really is a good example of how we can turn the energy and the ideas of young people into scalable solutions. And it's not just an investment in youth, but it's also an investment for our collective future. So really, I encourage all stakeholders that are in the room and following us online today, whether they be government or private sector, philanthropies or NGOs, to really consider working with the CTCN and just like we have done from the side of the European Union, to expand programs such as these focused on youth climate action. So to conclude, I really want to thank all of you, our speakers, our participants, the audience that have asked their questions, also to Harry for moderating the event today. And let's really build on the momentum of today's discussion and work together to empower the next generation of climate leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So before you leave the room, please hand us your post-it notes. And I want to end the session with one quote, and that is, "Youth are not just the leaders of tomorrow, but the innovators of today." So thank you all for being here, for sharing what you have built, and good luck to everyone.